When I was a boy, I spoke as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish ways. I'm on my grown man status. I'm on my grown man status. Living in the world of boys to men. Being high value, you lose some friends. Successful life requires rights. What's going on, everyone? It's your man, the Saint, aka R.O.M.A.N. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Man Status One-on-One. But before we can go any further, I need you to look down there, hit that subscribe button, as well as the like button, so we can continue to chop it up and put material like this out to the world. Now, the title of today's subject is Make Your Mark, creating your own brand, being the best of who you are, taking what's deep inside of you, putting it out there so the world can know who you are while you're still here and when you're long and gone. Now, I'm not going to do too much talking through today's segment, but what I am going to do is I'm going to play 3 videos, and we're going to talk about these 3 individuals who did it this way. Let's get to the videos.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation.
Now, let's talk about that. When you hear the name Michael Jordan, what do you think of? Shoes, athletic gear, championships, ultimate competitor, billionaire? If you answer any of them like that, you're absolutely correct. You see, what made Mike so great was that he was the ultimate competitor. Not just that he was one of the greatest to ever do it, was because of his competitive spirit. You see, nowadays, people tend to tell everybody they're a winner. And that's not always the truth. You and so many people might go out for a specific job, but only one person is getting that job. When I played college basketball, my coach once said, if it's not about winning, but how you play the game, then why do they even keep score? When I was a kid in field day, we used to compete. First place was a blue ribbon, second place was a red ribbon, third place was a white ribbon. If you didn't place in the top 3, you didn't get a ribbon. But now they give you these participation ribbons just for competing. That's not how the real world works. We've got to teach the youth that sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you just don't stop. It's like the great Aaliyah used to say, if at first you don't succeed, you got to get up and try again. You just got to keep trying. One thing that I love that Michael Jordan said was, I was never afraid to fail, but I knew if I didn't try that I would fail. All right, let's get to this next segment.
I really don't know. I want to say something right here. This might make you all think. life is not really long. Let's say the average person 30 years old. If you're 30 years old, you are now but about 7 years old. How can I prove it? Add up all the 7, 8, 9 hours you slept for 30 years. Out of 30 years, add up all the nights, last night when you went to bed and woke up this morning, you don't remember a thing. You've been unconscious for about 8 years. If you're 30 years old, you slept about 8 years. Okay. How much traveling have you done in 30 years? From the television station to home, to another country, to another city, to school, to church. You've probably traveled 2 years of your life or spent just getting back and forth to where you're going. So there's 8 years of sleeping, 2 years of traveling. There's 30 years out of your life before you accomplish anything. How long do you sit in school? In America, we stay in school from the 12th grade to, from the 1st grade to 12th grade. Same here?
Yeah, virtually.
6 hours a day?
Yeah.
6 hours a day for 12 years, break it down, you sat in the classroom for 3 years without leaving. Okay, 2 years of traveling, 8 years of sleeping, 3 years of school. How many movies have you went to? How many wrestling matches? How much entertainment? How many movie theaters, live plays, baseball games? Probably 2 years of entertainment. So by the time a man, you older people know him, bear witness what I'm saying, by the time you have children, by the time you have made a way for your children, by the time you've paid for your home, you're pushing 60 years old. So life is real short.
Now, let's talk about that. When you hear the name Muhammad Ali, what do you think of? The greatest boxer of all time, a person with a big mouth, a person with a tremendous amount of speed boxing, or a civil rights activist? If you answered any of them, you're correct again. You see, Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay, was born in Louisville, Kentucky. He was a part of the South. Back in the 60s, when we had a lot of segregations, a lot of African Americans didn't have rights back then. Muhammad Ali was more than just a great boxer. He was the first heavyweight that was so fast that when they punched at him, they couldn't hit him. If you saw those clips, you seen where people were punching, he was moving his head. It was like he was moving in slow motion, kind of like the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? But Ali was great. If you know anything about boxing, it's more than just punching and slugging. It's the difference between a slugger and a boxer. A boxer knows how to use his southpaw. He knows how to use his jab. He knows how to bob and weave. He knows how to work out, get the endurance, listen to his trainer. He knows how to fight. That's why Floyd Mayweather is undefeated, because he boxes. And people get mad because he won't just stand right in the middle of the ring and let somebody knock the mess out of him. The true art of boxing is to hit, but not be hit. Floyd did that well, and Muhammad Ali did that well as well. You know what I'm saying? But outside of the ring, Muhammad Ali stood for a lot of things with the civil rights movement. I mean, here's a guy who won a gold medal, came back to the United States, and was still told he couldn't go in certain restaurants because of the color of his skin. He had to drink in old broken water fountains because of the color of his skin. He stood for a lot of our rights. And remember this, during the time he was protesting, saying these things, people hated him of the opposite color. They didn't like him. The only reason they were going to his fights is because they couldn't wait and they wanted to see someone beat him. But he was too good to be losing. He was too quick. He also avoided going to the military. He dodged the war for the draft. He was arrested for a short period of time and he had to fight through that stuff. Lost millions and millions of dollars. But Ali stood on what he believed in, and he's one of the reasons why a lot of our civil rights have gone through for today. I'm not going to get on too much on that because it's a whole lot to speak of when you speak of the name Muhammad Ali. Now let's go to the next one.
Life is about choices and trade-off.
I agree. I love Kevin Samuels. I feel like that was definitely a message like that he would preach a lot. And it's true.
What was it like meeting Kevin?
He's much taller in person.
And did you take any of his advice?
I felt like I started to think about my life and what I wanted to do moving forward, which kind of, I don't want to say it's scary, I don't want to judge it, but like he talked about a lot of uncomfortable truth about the perception of men and like family structure and my situation. And it was a lot of difficult truths that were really hard to hear. And I feel like I started thinking more, having more of a business mentality. reality after I spoke to Kevin. And I think he was very kind. I listened to him a lot when I was pregnant, and I felt like his message often went missed because they would sensationalize him being hard on women. I've heard him be hard on men. I've heard both. The internet's gonna run with what's the most viral. I loved meeting him. He was a fellow Pisces like myself. He was very charming, he's very funny, very open-minded. He was just like tough love, so I miss him, you know?
Now, let's get to that third one. I know a lot of people out there may say, why did you pick him? Because here was a man who had a lot of odds against him. When you think of the name Kevin Samuels, what do you think of? A man who hates women, a misogynistic person, image consultant, a person who doesn't like women, a person who badgers black women. You're entitled to think what you want. There's a lot of things that you may say about this man, but there's a lot of good things too. But the thing that I admire was he believed in what he was saying, and he knew he was going to take a lot of slack from a lot of people. You see, what a lot of people don't know is when Kevin Samuels first started, his first few years, he was getting down on men hard. He was coming hard on men. Hey, man, what make you think you can get a good woman? You don't have a job. You don't have a car. You don't even have your own place. You need to get your money right. If this woman picks you, what is she picking? Another kid? I mean, Kevin was hard on men. But the difference was when he got on men, men had to shut up. They're like, you right, you right. Because one thing you have to look at when you're a man, if you have a daughter, would you want a man like yourself to date your daughter? Would you want your daughter to date a man like you? A lot of men looked at themselves and said, no, I got to get my stuff together. You right. I got to get that bag up. But let's go up into the future. He started talking about women, some of the faults that he's seeing with them. A whole lot of backlash came. Oh, you can't tell me this, you can't tell me that. That's when people started really recognizing the double standards, where women can talk bad about men all day long. And if the man talks bad about a woman, he gets shut down in every format. If he talks about what he likes in a woman, oh no, it's everything bad going down the drain. But if she says, hey, I don't want a man under 6 feet, she ain't before two. I don't want a man who doesn't have a six pack. I don't want a man who doesn't make less than six figures. I want the top of the top. Those are your preferences. If a man wants a woman on a certain size that she wears with her clothes, that's his preference. If a man wants a woman who's submissive, that's his preference. You see, the problem that we have is we have modern day women and wanting traditional men. But a lot of the traditional men is like, hey, if you want these traditional ways, you need to give me the traditional ways those men got back in them days. I'm not going to speak on too much on Kevin Samuels, but the reason I picked that particular video was because Brittany Reiner wasn't all for Kevin Samuels at first. She'll let you know she was like a lot of other women. She was stuck in her ways and she just wasn't hearing it. It's like pulling a pacifier out of a baby's mouth. You're used to something when you're spoiled, and when it's taken away, you seem to get upset. But then she realized it's tough love. Because what Kevin did was he held the mirror up to the faces of a lot of women. And what I've been noticing is when I look at a lot of his old content and I'm seeing more and more people looking at these videos, I'm finding more and more women going back, looking at his content and saying, oh my, wow, that was me. I really was acting like that. A lot of times I'll ask women, if you were a man, could you date a woman like you? Almost every time. Hell, heck no, I'm too emotional. I don't even want no female friends. That's why I got all guy friends, because I can't deal with women. You got to realize, men have to deal with women. We need love too. We need a woman to be our peace as well. And like I said, I chose Kevin because even though a lot of odds were against him, he did it his way. And when you hear people speak certain words, you know they came from Kevin. He left his mark. He created a brand. He's helped a lot of people. Now let's get it right. I don't believe everything that he's saying. You know, I don't, well, I'm going to say don't believe. I don't agree with everything that Kevin says, but the majority of the stuff he says, he's right on point. What we got to do, if you listen to him, a lot of times he kept saying, I'm about black families coming together, working together. But it can't be lopsided. One side is getting away with doing this and the other one ain't doing that. Because eventually, if someone's not happy, they're going to leave. What happens if you mistreat a dog? Eventually, that dog leaves. We got to find a way to get together. And the thing that's going on in society now is that there's a division. And even Christ said, any kingdom divided cannot stand. So we've got to find a way to come together. We recognize the problems, but what are we going to do about these problems that we see that we've done? Let's work together, folks. Let's make our own marks, create our own brands. The whole purpose of this video was to show you 3 different people that are totally different, who reached deep down, gave us what they got, put it into the world, and we all know them for what they've done. Now remember this, God woke you up, and the rest is up to you. God woke you up, and the rest is up to you. All right, have a great evening.